All right. Pull that in there. I have no idea. Nah, there's nobody on here. If you come on in, or if you join, hit the join link. And chat live with me. There we go. Nobody probably will, but anyhow, it's there. Done. All right. So last night we hit a couple snags because I was showing you what not to do with the rotor on the stator, the magnets, all that. And I got the stator stuck to it, piston around, having to take that apart, get that done. And then I made this screw up of not exactly pressing that bearing out of the primary case, the inner primary case properly. Took that 10-minute job and made it probably close to an hour. Well, that's sort of pain in the butt. So we didn't get finished, is the long story short. Tonight we will, because there's not a whole lot left to do. So I'm going to put the gas tank on, because that's really what needs to get done here, and lift the bike back up. We'll throw the clutch and the compensator sprocket on, and we'll actually turn the engine over by hand with a ratchet. Make sure we got oil flowing through. Kind of show you what to do with a new/used engine when you don't really know what's there. You want to make sure that the oil pump is actually pumping and whatnot. Because I didn't actually open this motor up. I didn't actually take it apart. I don't know for 100% certainty. It's not brand new under warranty. It's not a known quantity. I never heard this thing run. So because of that, we want to make sure that these things are in place and working properly. Oil is flowing before we actually turn it over. Otherwise, it will screw it. Devin's coming again here. He was just here last night. He's coming over to give me a hand. He wants to learn some stuff. He's a local guy. So anyhow, I think he's pulling up here. And we're going to get going on this thing and try and get something done tonight. Try and get it fired up. She'll come back. Oh. Air compressor was running. She didn't like that. She hates that thing. But we needed air. I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's
I just started. Oh, sweet.
I couldn't find that old.
I don't give a shit. I'm not fussy.
Okay.
Yeah. Not fussy. So anyhow, no, we do actually have somebody watching. Cool. Check it out. So tonight is, let's hope we don't need the drink for the, oh shit, it fucked up and blew up. Did you bring a cup by any chance? Probably not.
No.
Okay.
I have a cup in my Jeep now.
Do you? Okay, cool. Right on. So we'll do that. Set this off to the side. First things first, how did I do this? I took this thing apart. I don't even remember when that was, but it was quite a while ago. So mostly by memory, but I got a pretty good idea how it goes together. If not, we always have the book. Because, last night it would have helped if I'd have read the instructions. So maybe I should learn that lesson. Do that. That's the vent line. That's down. This is up. It's electric. That's in there. This power goes up. So this is into the tank. So, we got Chris Amy's in. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Join the chat if you want. I dropped the join link. Just hop in. Literally, we're just farting around here tonight. This thing is so close. She's going to start tonight. At least I hope it's. I should say that. Yeah, it's going to, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So there's our line there. Electric goes there. On the bottom is the fuel line. So there's really not much to this. So this guy just goes down on over top. Or should. All right. We have our electric. It's going to go up into that. Our vent. Just hold that so it doesn't go sliding off. And what are we hitting on?
good on here.
There we go. Kind of sliding down into place. Somewhere around there, there's a couple screws there. That goes. Because this line is our vent that goes here. This is our power that connects up there. And these are going to run underneath. So there we go. That and that. This gets clipped in under here. The wiring comes up. So our wiring is going to plug in here. And we have this vent hose that comes up. It's going to come on this side. Put that in here. Connect that guy up. And that's connected. Abby.
Abby.
She take off?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll come back. She always does. So,
I brought her
Okay.
some deer heart.
oh, she's gonna love you. She's gonna love you for that. All right. So this comes up. It's gonna double. I don't like the way that is routed for this. Kind of interfering. You go on the other side.
Going through too?
Yeah. So put it through this way onto here. I tried not to disconnect this stuff when I took it apart, so that it would actually kind of just lie in place. But it doesn't want to play nicely with me. So this is going to come up. And that's going to sit in these channels here. There's these clips that held this in.
Okay.
I didn't take pictures of it when I took it apart. That would have been smart. So yeah, we'll unplug that to get this in here. We're going to go through this way, keep them organized, kind of in order. Take that guy there, put this here. I think something's supposed to actually be on the other side, but actually it does. Let's do that. This one goes out the other side. This one goes up this side. So we'll do that. Kind of bend those guys back in place. You should plug in. Good. Now, this probably has a tire up, I guess, is what held that into place. And, oh yeah, well, that will help. The gas cap does not go through it, it goes over top of it. So we go in like that. And it should come down. Should just go into place. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Hindsight, I don't know. I mean, there's not much to this. Not much to it, and it doesn't want to go.
Yeah, something's not going on right.
Something is not sitting nicely in here for some reason. I wonder if, let's take this guy.
Probably this thing.
And even though it comes from this side, let's take it here and let's bring it in. Yep. And then let's run it up this side and connect it that way. Maybe the two of these on top of each other that aren't playing nicely. Because this guy, all right. So that's in there. Oh, not quite. Come on, get in there. Underneath. All right. I'm good there.
There.
Huh. It's kind of what happens when you take something apart months ago and try to put it back together. But it's like it feels like it's just not sitting on there nicely for some reason. I mean, there's not much here.
Did the seal come off when you took it off?
No. No, it didn't. That's just strange. Why?
Maybe this is supposed to, or no.
No. Huh. That is just bizarre world. Why are you doing this? All right. That's actually sitting down there now. Okay, that goes underneath.
Because this is loose?
Yeah, this is our trim so that we don't scratch paint. So this guy, we'll just pick it up. It kind of rolls up into here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of slide him through. Or try to fight with him. All right. We'll just pick it up. So the high side goes on the inside. This goes on the outside. It just kind of sticks on there. It's just a rubber gasket. Kind of keeps the crap from getting out and the metal from wrecking the paint. And there it goes. That's sat right down, just like it's supposed to. There we go. Just didn't have things in place, obviously, properly. So, just like that. That. So this wire, I think I'm going to put that on the top of that. That'll protect that a little better. So that guy actually maybe should have been under that by the looks of it. Organize that better. Can we do that easily? Are we going to knock stuff off? Hopefully not. So let's unplug that. Get that out. And we'll go the other order. Go that way. Like that. Put them back in the clip. Back up to here. Connected. So we have power. Because we need it for the fuel pump. Fuel injected. Make sure the hose isn't. That's not supposed to be. Nothing's pinched. We're down. All good. All right. Now we need some screws to put that sucker down together. I had those out here today. They are right here. So this silly little guy.
So what were you changing out on here?
I just took the gas tank off to get in underneath the engine.
Oh, okay.
Right. To pull the motor out, it was just way too difficult to do with the tank in the way. Actually, it's pretty much impossible to do with the tank in the way. So it's kind of like that first step. Kind of like a car. You need to lift the hood.
Or a Ford, you gotta lift the entire body.
Or you got to do that. Yeah. Doesn't feel like this one wants to start right now. Nope. Oh, lovely. Gotta love it when a plan comes together. Just wish it would come together better. Abby's out terrorizing the neighborhood again. Oh, there we go. I think we're going. No, we're not. Why are we not? Oh, that's why we're not lined up. That'll help. Line up the holes makes it a whole lot easier. Come on. Why are you doing this? You're not supposed to be that difficult. Yeah, give me just a little bit of a push. Because it's in such an easy place to get to. He says sarcastically. We're getting close to throwing a hammer through the wall. Give me a little bit of a push.
Towards you?
Yeah. No, that's cross-threading. Colorful words. This is where we start swearing already. This early in the game. Oh. That help? Get in there a little easier. Well, the stereo works. Worst case scenario, it makes some noise. Worst case scenario, I could put a CD in recording of a motorcycle and start it and play it. Pretend. So we're not totally dead. That sucker is just not playing nice. What the hell is going wrong? This is just not.
Does he want to hug his line head? Oh, somebody's trying to join.
Doesn't help like hey, check it out. Bring him in. Mr. Chris Amy, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Peckerhead?
Ran into a problem last night. I went to push the bearing out, didn't realize there was a snap ring behind the seal and destroyed the bearing. Luckily, I didn't break the case, but so a quick little bearing change turned into a long process. And then I showed you guys what not to do with the stator and then pulled the stator off and buried it in the magnet. So I had to take that apart. Pissed away a bunch of time there. Yeah, so didn't get fired last night. So
Who needs a side
I have no idea.
All part of it, all right, brother.
Well, that's kind of always a part of fixing stuff, right? It never goes 100% the way we wanted it to, even though we wish it would. It's just the way life goes. So
Yep.
The good part is,
right?
Yeah. Well, that's part of being a man, being able to solve problems, right? So
And not throw a hammer through the shop.
Well, no, throwing a hammer through the shop sometimes is part of being a man too. Not exactly a good one, but it's part of it. So yeah, it depends what it is. Here to fix a shop wall from a hammer being thrown into it than it is to fix what you're working on and smashing it with a hammer. So it's choose your demons.
That's true.
Yes. Sometimes it's easier to drywall than it is to replace an entire engine block or something like that.
Ask me how I know.
I have no idea how I would know that. I've never done it. And I could do that 1,000 times again and never get that. Right.
Maybe just put the screw in and drop it in the top like this.
Yeah. Well, what I was looking at, hang on to that for a second. I'm going to try something absolutely unorthodox that I don't necessarily recommend. Water pump pliers are on that side. Want to hand those to me? They're down below there.
How's the screw still in here? What am I looking for?
The red pliers right down here on the front of the lift.
Oh, okay.
So I don't necessarily recommend always doing this, but this angle doesn't exactly look right. And this tank was off. Went over and had some work done to it.
Oh, okay, maybe good.
So I don't necessarily know that this tab got bent, but it's about to get bent back. And see if that makes life easier. Sometimes there's more than one way to skin a cat. Wasn't that what we said last night? Sometimes there's more than one way to fix something or make something work. All right. Hang on. Not drop down into place nicely for some reason. Let me get that down first. Nope. Binding on something.
Replacement here, Bentley.
What's this?
Who's my handsome replacement here?
This is Devin. He's
I met you last
How are you
night, didn't
doing?
I?
yeah, he's actually member of the community. And turns out he's in Red Deer, so gotta like that. He's 20 miles away. Bought
Nice.
himself a motorcycle.
Awesome.
And reached out to me, and so we're he's 20 miles away, like-minded guy, part of the network. You got to get
Very
together, right? So
Absolutely. Nice to meet you, Devin.
Nice to meet you.
because it's great. The only thing is a 5-hour flight to my friends out in Ontario isn't exactly convenient all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
It'd be nice if it was, eh?
yeah. When they get that teleporter, there we go. When they get that whole teleporter thing figured out, and we get to do that for travel, it'll be a lot better. Will be a lot better.
Oh, I'm
All
sure
right.
will screw that up somehow too.
I'd love to say I don't even remember where that came from. I don't remember exactly where that came from. This will be the gas cap that goes right there. This looks like it kind of is in this area or something, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. We may have to resort to a manual. Imagine that. A man asking for instructions from a book or directions, guidance. And women would say would never happen. How's the plane going, Chris?
Which one?
Oh, I don't know. How much you got?
Full size or little ones?
Well, all of the above are cool.
Yeah, they're not bad. Not bad.
Yeah,
Something to keep the old mind occupied.
of course.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing is like that wool. So this almost seems like this is somehow related in here. I don't know how.
Bet you it goes right between here.
It may, because it's curved like that, and is the width of this tab.
Yeah, that looks right.
That almost looks like it does go in that neighborhood somewhere. I just don't know.
Might come down more because it's the angle of the bars too.
Okay,
Might come.
so let's take a look at the old book. Find out the things we don't know, because this is what the instruction manual is for.
I bet you this went on before the gas tank.
Oh yeah, now you're gonna tell us that.
I think it goes underneath this frame here, eh?
I wonder if that would be transmission, air, fuel, suspension. That's probably gonna go in body.
Yeah, it's supposed to stop it from rattling with the frame in the tank, I'm guessing.
Is it?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Well,
Should take it out.
let's take a quick peek at the old frame and body section and see what it says. See if it shows us. Here's a seat. So in this neighborhood, and it goes like that. That's not this part on the passenger bracket.
What kind of
Hey,
bike did you have?
he's asking what you got for a bike.
Oh, sorry. I got a 1200 Sportster.
Yep.
Harley Davidson, 1992. 92
Very
or
cool,
96?
It's actually sitting right here. He hasn't. We're gonna get it started after this one. So that's our
Very, very cool.
plan.
You guys will have to both ride out to Ontario.
That's a long ride.
I definitely need a new bike.
I would absolutely do that. I think we all know I would do that. Considering we've covered about half of North America on a motorcycle at this point. Okay, so that's not there. We're gonna go fuel. It doesn't make sense if the gas tank would be in the body section. It's got to be in the fuel section. Lubrication, maintenance, top end, transmission, fuel control systems. Conducted number 10.
I'm gonna take the pup for a little run, brother. I'll catch up with you in a day or two.
Oh, okay. We should be firing this thing probably in about an hour, give or take. Oh, look at that. Here's the fuel tank. So yeah, but right on, man.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
All right, we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Here it is. Part
Yeah,
number
bud.
4. A trim cover. All right,
See you
buddy.
guys.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. Look at that. 2008. Part number 4. Says it's a trim cover. And now this is removal. Fuel supply check. Blah, blah, blah. Fuel pump. Yeah. This was nothing to do with that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about your dog.
Yeah, she'll come back.
Okay.
She doesn't like the air compressor, so she's mad. It made noise,
Okay.
made her angry. So she's pissed off and is taken off. All right, induction module, all this sort of stuff. Where? All that. More on the induction. Oh, not where the tank itself is. Maybe back where our picture was, where I saw the part. Fuel tank. Training. Removal. Installation. Refer to that. Okay, that. Pictures, but doesn't show exactly where it goes. Just shows that it's here. Inspection. Removal, installation. All right. Here's this side. Here's this. Fuel tank console. Here it is. It shows it right here underneath of this bracket.
Okay. More about the metal of this part though.
So number 8 and number 9. 8's a clip, 9 is a screw. What was that?
You're right in the first place.
Trim cover.
Like that somewhere.
All right, let's take that out though. It's got a shape to it. Let's line it up so we're doing it properly. It's got according to
I think
this.
it'd be going with the bars.
Trim cover. I don't know where the heck exactly this thing goes, but I'm kind of with you. I mean, it goes underneath this tab clearly, because that's exactly the shape of it. Because it is the width of it. It goes there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't.
Maybe it's supposed to go in the part right here. This lip that comes up. No, where we had it, but just seated under this.
Seated under that.
Yeah.
Does it go there? No, it won't even fit under there. Okay. So, and from here, I mean, that doesn't look right at all in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to say that's not it. Damn, even with a book, we aren't getting this. This is not.
I'll look it up on YouTube.
We could do that. Somebody else on YouTube would. You know, there's a guy who took this thing apart, this exact motorcycle, live quite a while ago. The only thing is trying to find that damn video. I mean, that's
What's the model and make?
2008 Ultra Classic. So that goes there. That gets down. Down. I mean, according to this, it goes this direction. There is, like, when this gets screwed down, there is no place to put this thing underneath. Like, I'm completely freaking lost now. So this shows everything here, but it doesn't show this piece. This shows this one. That doesn't fit like that at all. Not a chance. Huh. This is the weirdest thing ever. So last night, I pushed a bearing apart for no reason. That didn't need to be. And tonight, I can't figure out where the hell the trim piece goes. Even though it says it belongs here, it does not.
Yeah, you did see it in the manual, right?
Yeah, I've got the manual right here.
Yeah. I've seen 2 bikes on here and both of them didn't have that thing. Maybe it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't.
There are grooves under there, actually. Maybe those 2 go there.
Okay. Let's put that down. There's grooves under there.
Yeah, there's little holes. Maybe those things. No, that wouldn't work.
No, that's not where it goes. It's flat. That one.
Weird.
This falls into the world of Bizarro, into the thing of Bizarro world. I just don't know. Fit like that, fit like that. That is I like to make fun of guys that can't figure stuff out and say they got to put the tools away and call a mechanic. I hate to call a mechanic because I can't figure out where the hell a trim piece goes when I got everything else done in a complete motor swap, but I can't figure out where a piece of trim goes. All right. Well, regardless. That would come out of there.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be in this section because of the way the angles of the bars and that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it can't possibly fit there because of that. There's the whole way it works. Goes together.
I bet it's some kind of like anti-rattling piece, eh?
Haven't got a clue, man. At this point, I really don't. I really don't know.
You'll put it together and you'll know what it's.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it happens. you get something together completely, and then you realize, oh, duh, that went right there.
Mhm.
I'd love to say I've never done that before, but that would be a lie. You take as much things apart as I have and put them back together. Eventually, something doesn't go together right. That's just a fact. Get used to it. And anybody who tells you that it doesn't, well, they're either lucky or lying. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the angle of the frame, all of that sort of stuff. It does look like it belongs under here.
So, thinking you're right in the first place is probably there, but
It looks like it belongs under there, but it can't. Because then these screws, this would never bolt down. It just can't. It just can't be there and bolt down. There's not enough room underneath of that when that's in place.
maybe it's part of the seat.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the exploded drawing it's got here just doesn't really show it. Because it, yeah, and it's too wide to be up here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's wider than the,
What are these things that it's lining up to?
right here, these guys.
Yeah.
These rubber strips, but it's wider than that. It's actually square that goes that way. And I mean, it doesn't.
It wouldn't go right here, would it?
No, because it's wider than this whole piece. There's no possible way it goes under there.
Well, how about this metal part of the frame?
No, not on the front. Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. Huh. So we have a missing piece. We have a, shouldn't say we have a missing piece. We have a piece we can't figure out where it goes. And it's definitely for this section. It just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense in any way I can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
In any way, shape, or form. Like, these clips don't fit in there.
It is the same width as that. That's why it's just deceiving.
Yeah. Same width as that. That is just. That just makes no sense to me whatsoever. In any way, shape, or form. And it doesn't reference it. Back on the install side. I'd have to go back, which I may end up having to do. Go back to my actual video of when I took this thing apart. Hope the camera was in the right place and can actually see it. I'm going to almost, yeah, because now we're in the induction line. We're out of this section. I'm going to almost guarantee it doesn't. Because I just wouldn't have had a reason to do that I can think of off the top of my head.
You were recording what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. I recorded the whole 9 yards because I
Well,
wasn't going to do a motor job. I was going to do a cam swap.
I can go on your YouTube channel, rewind. I'll just do that. You're recording it earlier on this feed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be my YouTube channel like way back when I took it apart. I mean, that doesn't go there. It's too big. It's right on the tank. It just doesn't. That curved section almost looks like it goes up against something, but I just don't know what. And there's that part. Almost like that would do that. I mean, that doesn't work either. Looks like it could, but it doesn't. Oh, wait a second. Did I just figure it out? That goes down there.
That looks right. That probably is there.
Well, it almost looks like now we've found out where it goes. The only thing is, according to the drawing, that's backwards the way it goes. It goes. That exploded view drawing, it goes this direction, which it doesn't fit. That's where I'm confused. That way doesn't fit. I mean, that exploded view shows that's to the front, this curved is to the back, but when we go this way, this does actually fit down and into there. That holds that.
Maybe we're expecting it to look perfect. And it's just supposed to kind of free float there.
Huh. Yeah. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Did it actually do that way? And hold. Nope. No room for the wires and hoses underneath. Not a chance. So it fits like that. It's like that. And it looks like it's got pieces that clip in here, but it doesn't. There's nothing for it to clip into, which is just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
It is just bizarre. Okay, well, see what you can find on there. I will fire these couple of bolts in the front side of that tank. Get that sort of started in place since we're doing the boring section of the video. Just leave the door open a crack. She'll come back. Okay. I literally don't worry about her.
Okay.
She it's her neighborhood. She roams it, patrols it, guards it, all that stuff. All right, so I started. Let's grab an extension. I got those down here. Do me a favor. Line me up over here or start this bolt on the front part of the tank there. Just turn it off. We don't need to be live and shock ourselves. As much as it would be funny, it wouldn't be funny. At least not for us. Might be entertaining for the viewers.
You got the ratchet for this?
I do. Right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't see any because the angle of the camera doesn't quite show what's going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
You
Well,
want
this is the only place it looks like it actually goes. So we're going to put it here. And if that's not where it goes, it'll get moved later on. I mean, one thing about this doesn't affect the way it runs. At this point.
It kind of looks good. Like that's starting to look like it's supposed to be.
Okay. Put that in there.
Unless that's meant to hold the wires down in between. These
Well, that's what I thought too, but there's no room underneath to run anything. Otherwise, I would say, yeah, that's exactly where it belongs. But if we do that, there's no room to run a wire. It just doesn't work. So kind of leaves us. This is our realistic only option. This curve right here is exactly right to put a wrench in to tighten this up. So it tells me that, that this is kind of where it goes. It just doesn't. I mean, it's not held. Mind you, we haven't got that other piece tightened down. It's not like it's held like firmly into place. Grab a socket for that. That is that guy. And there's a ratchet and extension. This is the bolt for that one right there. I'll let you throw that in and I'll tighten this. Oh, you'll need a ratchet. Okay. Tighten this bolt up. And with that, what should have been a quick little install for 4 little bolts on a freaking fuel tank is not turned into this. All right.
Oh.
Okay. So that guy goes like that. All right, we're started. Go ahead and tighten him up. Well, it does trim that up. So I guess that maybe is exactly where it goes.
Oh, is that too tight?
I don't know. Let's see. Here. I don't think it is. It is just a little spring. That's good there. That's that. It is kind of loose. I don't know. There's nothing for it to clip into. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's in. We're there. And this side right here, we have this collar for the gas line. All right. Now, I don't like that.
That doo-doo.
No, that's here. That's a radar gun. That I like. That's supposed to be there. What I don't like is I have, there we go, fuel pump sound.
Oh.
All right. It's giving us the old low, probably because there's no gas in it. Which makes sense because gas tank was taken off. So, make sure the cigarettes and cigars are out. We're playing with gasoline. Love to say I'm more responsible than that. All right. Fine. I got another one. Not like we need this much gas just to do a test start, but that's what we got. That's what we're going to use. Try not to make a mess. Keyword, try. Do our best. Paper towels on your side?
It's remaining paper towel. I don't see a paper towel rolling.
No roll?
I got this. If that helps.
That'll do. We're just gonna make sure it doesn't go all over the place. Do this.
That's gonna be tricky.
Yeah, this is gonna be. We actually might be better on your side. I got the phone holder on this side.
Okay.
You grab the jug. I'll put the hose in.
Oh.
There we go. Well, we got a little bit of leakage. Oh, it's going. That's why we want a paper towel handy, because not being a fuel pump is going to get right in there. All right, go a little higher. Yeah, let's get a little more in there. That should be good. I actually don't even know how good this gas is, to be completely honest.
Okay.
This has been sitting for a while, so that'll be enough. That'll be enough for what we're doing. It is only a few hundred yards from here over to the fuel station where it'll get filled with premium. Make sure everything is good. Here's the plug.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, well, now no fuel leaking on your side that you can see.
Not seeing anything, no.
There's a light here. I've got nothing here. Look around over there. No fuel leak?
Nope.
All right. Well, it's something kind of, right? Okay. There's the easy part. Now, we're going to go to the fun part. Pick this guy up. And we're going to put the primary drive together. And then we'll actually start running through it. So.
Well, that's nifty.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Does it matter what kind of air compressor you have?
No air compressor, it just takes air volume to do it. That's about it. All right, so with that, how's the camera? What can we see here? Can we see very well even? So in here, I don't know, it's not real clear. I don't have great lightage over here for what we're doing, but so we're gonna put the clutch on. We'll do that right away. That's real easy. Get that set up. Then we'll put the compensating sprocket on. So with a Harley, because they're a 45-degree V-twin rather than a boxer, like the 45, just the angle of it, it's actually an uneven power cycle. So it's uneven surge on the crankshaft. And because of that, it'll actually break a chain because it's not an even propulsion as everything goes around. So grab some pieces. The process for solving that is you have a compensating sprocket. So this ends up going on these lines here. This goes on the outside. It's all held together with a spring pack. And then as the engine runs unevenly on the powers on these ramps in here, it's got a constant pressure. And that's what keeps this sprocket moving smoothly, even though the power pulses aren't actually applied to it smoothly. That's how the whole thing stays together. So when you got a lot of miles on a Harley and you hear some noise from them in this part of the engine or this part of the bike, most of the time this is what it is. It's your compensator. It's got a problem. These things do wear out, occasionally break. This is the upgraded one. But even these guys will still fail and still break. Doug's got a bunch of broken ones over at his shop. So Harley could say, oh no, we upgraded it and it doesn't do it anymore. Yes, it does. Even the new ones do it. So, but there's stuff to keep all that stuff good in line and whatnot. But so now we're on the clutch. So we'll take our clutch basket, which took off an entire one piece before. Mine, I've got this, welcome to the world of racing. I use a lockup compensator and a lighter spring. The lighter spring pull allows me to do some nifty maneuvering, which I like to do. That's why I do it. But then that spring pressure is not enough to actually lock the clutch have enough clamping force to lock the clutch into a lock. And then the clutch will slip and then it burns out. It's no good. So this guy runs with centrifugal force as it's spinning around. And the faster it spins, the more these weights start to stretch out and swell, which as you can see on the inside, as the weights start to stretch out and swell, it pushes on these little arms, which actually pushes on the pressure plate. So that's how we get away with, and this is actually an old drag racer trick. My drag bike has, this one has a 2-stage clutch. My other drag bike has a 3-stage clutch. So literally with this, there's 2 separate stages as to how much pressure is on there and how this works. And actually this one is a 3-stage, sorry, because it has a set of light weights and a set of heavier weights. So the heavier weights will engage first and the lighter weights will engage second. So this is actually a 2-stage lockup, making this a 3-stage clutch, which is just kind of a neat trick. You're riding a lot in heavy traffic and there is such an upgrade for your bike and your hand gets sore holding a clutch in all the time. That may be something you want to look at because then you can put in a lighter spring. You don't have to hold back all that pressure with your hand physically. Neat little trick for...
That's more for urban riding?
For urban riding, I do. I've watched the videos. I haven't actually gone down and taken the course. I want to go down to Florida and take it. There's a guy down there that teaches actually the way that they train motorcycle cops. Because motorcycle police are very good at low-speed maneuvers. So 90% of motorcycle crashes happen below 20 miles per hour. Because most people don't ride very much down there if they're not good at handling a bike. So I haven't gone down the course, so I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not great at it. But the people who are really good and really skilled at it, this is a 950-pound motorcycle. They can lean this thing over, and they can turn the handlebars to full lock, lean this thing over, so they're dragging the floorboards, and go round and round and round in circles at about 8 miles an hour. And literally, you breathe on the clutch, and the bike will fall over. It is that close to falling over. It's literally the perfect balance of falling down and staying in motion all at the same time. It's a pretty cool skill. But you've got to make your clutch slide when you do that. You can't have a full engagement on the clutch. So you're kind of holding your clutch at that point where it's got some pressure on it and it's applying some pressure, but it's also slipping in order to do that. Because if it's full lock, it's got too much power and it wants to push you around. And if you don't have enough, well, then you don't have enough propulsion, you fall down. So hence the reason I like a lighter spring and use a lockup. It allows me to do those difficult maneuvers without my hand fatiguing so much. So it's just kind of a neat little trick. Now I should double check. I do not believe, I know my other bikes, these do not get Loctited, but I will double check. Because you do not want your clutch coming apart when you're riding down the road. Very bad idea. Section 6. So, and then, like I said before, if you're ever doing anything that is aftermarket and isn't in your manual, which this is not a stock part. There we go. Bolts down on the ground. So here we go. Got me drop bolts, take a drink. Walk into the drinking game. All right. So this is the literature that comes with the lockup kit. So like I've always said, if you ever do anything that isn't stock to your bike, that the instructions in here no longer match, so these are the instructions, don't throw these away when you've installed something. Put them inside your manual so that you can always come back and be like, shit, I don't remember what the torque specs on that are supposed to be. And in the manual, since it doesn't have this custom part, you don't have that. So you never know how to do it properly. Well, by keeping the instructions inside of your manual, you always have the stuff to do that. And then you can do little things like that. Like I got it wrote right on there. Lockup plate gets tightened to 90 to 110 foot-pounds. That's actually, or 90 to 110 inch-pounds. Makes looking up stuff like that quick and easy. Makes life a lot better, easier. Just a smart thing to do. Solid friction plate, damper spring. I know all this. I don't need to read that. Position diagram. If I'm putting bolts to that. All right. That's that side. Installation. Why? 2006 model. Nope. So wait. Measuring all this. And then here's another neat trick I'm going to show you in here on these adjustables. Actually, your bike doesn't have this particular one, but they're a pain in the ass. And not knowing how to do them, I've seen guys have all kinds of problems doing them. It's cable, we're past that. Oh, look at that. There's the instructions on the bearing last night with the snap ring on the primary. So I can't say I didn't have the instructions. I can just say that the guy who did it didn't pay attention to what he was doing, didn't look at the instructions. That's the guy who was doing it's fault. So we know who to blame on that one. That's the worst part, is when you do your own work. The unfortunate part is the mechanic you have to give shit to when there's a screw up is yourself. So, such is life. All right. Go back to that first part. Okay. Installation with the thread locker. Yeah, I know. 07 models. Wait, 9 models. All right. There's a compensator. Cable strap. Primary chain tensioner. Shell. It has our instructions to what we're doing here. So somewhere in this 94, 95. All right. Take my compensating sprocket. Install the clutch hub. Okay. And tighten the clutch hub nut 70 to 80 foot-pounds. So this nut is going to go down to 70, 80 foot-pounds. And no, yes, it does. Apply 2 drops of red Loctite to the clutch nut. All right, good to know. So we have to do that. I already have Loctite up. So we have to actually apply Loctite to this when we go to tighten it. The only thing is we're not actually going to hard lock tighten this down right now because we can't. It's going to want to spin. We've got to put the front end in, put the chain on, and then actually put a locking bar in between them to hold it in place to put the torque on properly. And we don't want that much Loctite sitting that long, so it won't be good for it. So we're going to kind of do this in a couple of steps in kind of the wrong order to make it work. Okay.
What's the difference between a blue and a red block?
Okay, so blue is what they call a temporary strength, and red is a permanent strength. It's just stronger and will last longer or less susceptible to come loose. And it's also the amount of heat, because actually if you ever got something that's Loctited down and doesn't want to come out, heat it up, heat actually breaks the Loctite.
Okay.
So little kind of inside knowledge trick on that.
Is that usually just with motorcycles?
No, it's with everything, with anything that uses Loctite. But motorcycles, especially, like Harleys vibrate so much, so we need Loctite. So this is the guy I was talking about before. No, this is the chain tensioner for the primary chain. These are spring loaded, so that's why it has the tie wrap on it. If you take this off, it's going to actually pop out. And I actually have another one of these, so I can take it apart and show you how to put it back together, because if you don't compress this or tie this down and hold it in position properly, when you take it out, you'll never get it back in without knowing the procedure how to put this thing back together properly. So the trick for that is there's a hole in the bottom, and you use I believe it is the 5/32 Allen wrench. Yes, it is. So you wouldn't use that one, but you'd use the standard bent guy. And then you would put your spring in there, you would push it down and compress it down to the lock position, and put this in, and it'll hold it into place, and it will allow you to tie this, because you can't leave the Allen wrench in when you put it in, because if you do, there's no way to get it out, and then you never have your proper tension on, and you've got a tool floating around inside, and then you'll do what I did, and you'll break your primary chain. So it's kind of a funky procedure to do that for these automatic tensioner ones that this bike has. So with that, we're going to start putting together the compensator rock. The compensator. So with that, this whole guy is a spring set. And a lot of people don't know the proper order of putting these things together. This bike was actually put together wrong when I got it. First time I took it apart, I found out that it was wrong. So this one is straight. This is a shim. I'm going to set that up to the side. This, as you can see, is dished. That's a spring. So there she is. There's Abby. Abby, she's back. She's good. So we start by, this whole thing is a spring pack. So you've got the small one, you've got a medium one, and you've got the large spring. And so you need all of these to fit against each other to apply a spring force. When this one was, when I had it put together, these two were put dish to dish. And so therefore that was no longer a spring. It wasn't actually doing anything. So I had some noise in this one when I got it. I actually thought the compensator was gone. Got a bit of a deal on it because I knew that. The guy didn't. Took it apart, found out that, the compensator wasn't gone. I actually just needed this. So I saved money and it was an easy fix. So sometimes knowing things can help you save money, get a bit of a deal on what you're buying, because you know that there's a problem that might need to be done. You may know where there's parts or used parts or somebody who can fix it. So now that one is in, cupped over like this. So this one we need to put in, cupped this way, so that they are inside the spring to outside of spring. Now we go to our next one.
Will mine look like that?
Yours may be, the older ones, the whole spring pack and a compensator was attached as one piece. So the whole pack was together in one. It just depends on the design. And then there's all kinds of aftermarket designs. Now, the one thing, if you're on a belt drive primary, there will be no compensator, because the belt can compensate for the distortion, shock, uneven power cycles on the belt, because the belt will stretch and retract in a way that a chain won't. So therefore, now, since this one has a shim to take up a little bit of space, because there's actually a measured pack height, the shim goes between your medium-sized spring and your large spring. And now, once again, we started out dish this way, dish this way. This is now dish this way and a shim, so this goes dish this way. Make sure that this entire spring pack is all one accordion spring all the way along. and they're actually pushing on each other properly and fully, not screwed up like the way it was when I got it. So I literally thought I was going to have to buy $500 compensator for this. So the guy gave me $500 off the bike, off of the deal we negotiated for the compensator. And it turns out all I needed to buy was 2 liters of oil. Sometimes it pays to know some things. Now, this is our inner bearing race because this compensator is going to move on here, so it needs to have a bearing surface. This one does. So just make sure all this is good and clean.
Do you ever use brake cleaner on that? Or
I do, but since this is, I mean, in all reality, the inside of your primary drive or your clutch notices, these things get filthy. The oil in here is literally just to cool the clutch pack, because motorcycles are meant to be rolled in the friction zone where your clutch is actually slipping, and to cool the stator because it's actually right against the engine. So there's a lot of freaking heat in the alternator in these compared to the alternator on a car that is mounted externally. So the oil doesn't serve a ton of lubricating purpose, so you don't really need to make sure these things are absolutely spotless. Wiping it down, it can have a little bit of grit and grime in it in all reality because inside of 100 miles it's going to have some grit and grime in it. You don't want stones and, big stuff, but like this doesn't need to be spotlessly cleaned to be put back together just because of the environment that it runs in. This is the inside of a primary drive on a motorcycle, especially on a Harley. They are particularly a very dirty environment. All right. So we take our primary chain. Now they say that this can't be done, and you have to put all of this on as one piece. I call bullshit. I've actually moved and changed primary chains without pulling the clutch out of the bike, so I know it can be done. There we go. And I'm about to show you that it can be. Even though the manual and the instructions and everybody will tell you that it can't. It actually can. So that. Yeah. This guy, good clean up. Just a good wipe down. And make sure we got nothing in there on that bearing. That goes on that shaft. And this is that inner bearing race I was talking about. As you can see, it's got a bearing surface mark on it. It's good. It just, because it was metal on metal rolling, it has a mark. But so that goes together. Your inner, outer, your bearing. So we take our sprocket, we get it into our chain, and that's right. I gotta take that guy off. That is the trick to actually doing this when they say it can't be done. Because you have to actually take this with it, set it into the part, get it up in here. And there is actually enough slack in this chain. Even though they say it can't be done, it can be. Oh, actually, before I snap that off, let me show you something else that I actually mentioned last night. So we'll take that back apart. That guy off. I had mentioned that from the factory, you can't actually pull that rotor out of here and change the stator with this inner primary case on quite a few years and models. It just depends on the design of your bike. On these ones, it won't come, the rotor won't come out. You can't change the stator without pulling this out unless you clearance it. And this is what I'm talking about right here. This shiny surface in here. So there was a whole bunch of material in here that had to be ground off to make room to pull the rotor out. So that's why now I can actually change this rotor myself, literally on the side of the road in a parking lot, whatever it has to be, rather than having to actually pull the clutch, pull the primary, all that, which is why I know you can pull this, because you can leave the clutch on, actually just pull the compensator sprocket, pull this off, pull the rotor, change your stator, put it back in, put all this together without having to pull this inner primary, and save yourself hours of work and a whole bunch of headache and the possibility of whether you can get fixed when you're on the road traveling or something like that. Actually know guys who lost lots of time on trips because the dealership couldn't change the stator because it's a 4-hour job, 4.5-hour job. rather than doing a little bit of work and making it an hour and a half long job for yourself. So a one-time job doing clearancing that for yourself could save you endless amounts of pain and frustration down the road. So this guy's splines are on the inside, locks up with that, get him into place. There we go. So they say you can't put a primary chain on or a compensator on without removing the clutch. I don't know, I just did it. So they say it can't be done, and I just proved it can. Live on the internet. So these guys, this bolt. So if you have, which you won't on your Sportster, it doesn't have this style of compensator. If anybody else who happens to have a big twin cam, if you have the upgraded compensating sprocket, which this one is, this is the Screaming Eagle Performance one. Somebody else's is like this too. I can't remember who it is that makes, I think it's Andrews or something like that, makes one. It's the same, roughly the idea. This bolt gets torqued like a son of a bitch. You need a special Torx socket for this one.
Harley Davidson special.
Well, that's typical of Harley, having something that almost nobody else has, and nobody has it. So they love to do stuff like that for some reason. It's to protect their dealer network so that guys have work, all that sort of stuff. Now, I know I did this job, so I know I have this socket out. I took this apart. So somewhere around here in all this schmozzle stuff is this socket. I just don't know exactly. It is a great big Torx, and I mean big. It is the only thing it's used for, is this nut. So, there it is. So it is a T70. So if you ever want to do these for yourselves, you need to get yourself one of those. It's a T70. Now, depending which one you get, word of advice, you may want to buy two, because I've broke them, and I know other people, I know quite a few people have broke them. And if you break this in the middle of putting it together or taking it apart, you're screwed. So a backup one is worth gold, because nobody carries these things in stock because nobody uses this damn size. So I actually had to order this in to get this. So heads up and tip. And so what was my clutch bolt again? What did I say it was? 70 to 80 foot-pounds or something like that. 70 to 80 foot-pounds on the clutch nut. And this guy is 170 on here. So this torque wrench does actually go up to that, so we're good. All right. So we're going to go to 80 for this one to start, and we'll also set that one. And I'll kind of show you how I do this guy. This is a pain in the butt. You need a lot of freaking force on this to do this. So take that nut back off. This thing's always going to fall. Now, here's the bizarre part for anybody who happens to be working on a Harley, you want to do this yourself. Clutch nut on, as far as I know, every single one I've ever worked on, is a left-hand thread, meaning it's not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It's lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. The reason they do that is the uneven power pulses coming from the engine to the clutch. If this was a right-hand thread, every time the clutch was shocked, it would slowly be tightening this nut, and it would eventually get to a point, this thing would be over-tightened. It's an aluminum hub. It would eventually split the hub, break it, cause a problem. So that's why they use a left thread, so that as the pulses go, it never actually tightens the nut. So I've seen guys fuck up nuts, fuck up input shafts, cause all kinds of problems because they don't know that this is a left-hand thread. And so they're on there trying to take it off, and they're cranking it to the left like crazy. And what they're actually doing is tightening. And they end up breaking the clutch hub, wrecking their input shaft, or wrecking the nut. wrecking the nut is your easy way out. Partially, because when you wreck the nut, it never strips and comes off. It strips, gulls, and stays there, which means you now can't actually get the clutch off. It is an absolute nightmare. Don't make this mistake. I've actually seen more than a few guys do it. It's a pain in the butt. So,
Is that with every model?
as far as I know, every Harley I have ever worked on has had a left-hand thread clutch hub nut. So I have never worked on a Harley that has had a right one. Doesn't mean they're not out there. I've just never worked on one. So this is a consult your owner's manual. Find out what you're doing before you do it. If you don't know, call a friend. Because it's a world of freaking hurt to find out you're wrong. Anyhow, so all right. So, which is strange because now you got two of them going the wrong direction towards each other. But that is what it is. So, just a word to the wise. I've seen it done, seen it happen. All right. So that's this guy here. And actually, I've actually got something you can do for me here. We'll get this set up. Be on the other side, actually. Let's do this. Because we're going to turn this thing over. Huh. I don't even know. I don't know if this big one will go in there or not. It might. Fun and games. All right. Grab that. So, slip and fall. Let's have a slip and fall accident because we need that while we're having fun. Okay. Yeah, I refill them out of bulk oil.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put some oil in there. You can only put about 3 liters of it in, and then let it set because it actually will take some time to settle.
Okay.
So don't put all 4 in. Put about 3, roughly, give or take, because we want to make sure we circulate oil since this is all a new unit for us.
How many liters is in this jug?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
That's
I know,
about 3 there.
Right?
Yep, that's good.
All right. Like I say, just gonna leave it sit and let it kind of settle out.
Okay.
So all right. So, all right. Okay, we're starting to get torqued there. And relatively snug there. That's why I waited to do it because I don't want this thing sitting too long without with the Loctite and having it dry before it should be, needs to be, all that kind of stuff. Now, we need a handy dandy tool. Because I'm the guy who takes stuff apart. If he's on the road, fixes it himself rather than calls a shop or a tow truck. I actually carry this tool in my road toolbox.
Want me to direct the camera to you?
Yeah, no, that's just I mean, I guess I can kind of show the guys. Perfect size road toolbox for a fiberglass saddlebag Harley is actually a Cabela's ammo box. They fit in there perfectly. They're a great, handy little toolbox. So if you happen to be a guy who wants to work on your own stuff or be able to fix yourself, get yourself out of trouble, handy as shit to have. I have to make another one of these. This is actually, believe it or not, I have 2 tools in here to carry, homemade tools. So I have a 11/16 inch deep socket with a little handle weld on. That's for adjusting the clutch because it makes life a lot easier. So I had to do that. And then there's this very high-tech chunk of flat bar with a nicely sanded rounded edge that we actually put between our teeth. Allows us to actually torque by creating force and locking it. It's literally a chunk of steel. That's going to get put in gear to lock it in. To lock that shaft. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go to 80 foot-pounds of torque, which this is already set at. Got to put it in the opposite direction because this is a wrong hand thread. And that's why it's rounded to fit nicely in the teeth and not actually break them. So you have your choice. You can spend $150 from Harley and buy the fancy Harley Davidson tool to go between these teeth, or you can take a piece of flat bar and do it yourself. It's entirely up to you. Being a home mechanic type guy, I would hope you make it yourself and you don't fall into the ridiculously overpriced tool for a piece of flat bar. I'm going to have to actually get you to do me a favor, go to the other side and hold the rear brake because we're actually turning the tire. We aren't going to get torque. All right. You're on the rear brake?
Yeah.
You're pushing as hard as you can?
Yep.
You're still turning that damn tire. High gear.
This isn't the clutch over here, it's a brake, right?
On the bottom is the brake.
Okay.
Bottom. Yeah, the foot pedal.
That's what I'm
The
doing.
foot pedal is the rear brake.
Okay.
That's when we want to hold.
Yeah.
Now we're
Gotcha
holding.
now.
All right. So there we go. We have reached our torque on that guy. Okay. That's it. You don't need to hold it from there. Now, remember what I said on another earlier episode about guys in too much Loctite? As you can see, I have too much freaking Loctite in there. So when you do that, now I deliberately do that on a clutch bolt because I don't ever want that sucker coming loose. Make sure you wipe it off. Get rid of it. You don't want that crap in there. That will just be an absolute nightmare you never want to deal with down the road because it's going to lock stuff in place where you don't want it. Okay, so now I actually go the opposite direction because nope, we don't even need to do the brake now, or at least I don't think we do, because we are now a right-hand thread. The bar has to go the opposite way. When we're going left-hand thread, we need to go that way. So there's our first step. And this guy, like I say, factory, the original compensator is 150 foot-pounds of torque. This guy, this aftermarket stronger one, is 170. So much, much more. Not too far.
I really like this bike. It's nice.
Thanks. All right, here we go. 170 foot-pounds of torque. So this guy gets tightened to a literal crap load of torque. Hence the reason you'll need a steel bar. I've seen guys try to do this with wood. It doesn't work. The wood will not hold strong enough to actually torque it. All right. So we are now locked into place. that's all done. So with this, we are actually literally at the point, put the cover on. I'll put the adjuster on, put the cover on, and this thing will start. But we're gonna leave this open. This is not in the book and not in the procedures in the manual, but I'm gonna show you how to actually, on a used engine, on something you don't know, make sure you have all your proper oil flow and you know things are good. So you don't screw something you don't intend to. So with that, our clutch adjust bolt goes in like that, because our shaft is already in there, I believe. And positive I put that in there. But it is so far out of adjustment. Yes, it is. So there's our shaft, which when your clutch cable is adjusted, will never actually, or should never really be completely buried inside. Not to the point you can't see it. Anyhow, that goes in there. Where did it go? Where did it go? Somewhere. There it is. We have a snap ring that holds this in place. Now, if you don't have the lockup nut, you don't have to actually take the pressure plate off. You can take the entire clutch plate out as one piece, or the whole clutch out as one piece. But that lock up assembly will not allow me to pull this out to get to the nut. So I have to actually take this one apart, where on a standard one you wouldn't. So now, probably won't see it on the camera, but this snap ring is actually chamfered. So one side is slightly rounded and the other side is flat. You need to find out which that is. And that's this one. And the absolutely flat side has to go in on this. Something to always note when you're doing it. The snap ring, did that last night. There's the snap ring pliers. I know they're out. Oh, maybe. Here they are. Snap ring pliers. So that, I can press our snap ring, put it in, put our groove, all the way around, and our adjuster's in. Now, because we're at this point, it's going to make life easier. I'm going to do it now. Normally I wouldn't. If you have a clutch that doesn't have the lockup plate where you can actually pull this snap ring and pull this centerpiece out without having to actually take the clutch apart, you don't actually need to readjust your clutch. Because I take everything apart, I have to. So there is an advantage to using a stiffer spring versus the spring like I do. It just depends how you choose to do things. So, and this is the reason that I have the handy dandy homemade tool with the handle made on for the nut, because you actually, wrong size, when you're properly adjusting a clutch, that's going to go in there. Well, now how do you lock your jam nut down? Because that is your lock nut. So you will do this, do your adjustment, get it to where it needs to be, do your back off a bit of a turn, and then you need to actually tighten down the lock nut while holding the inner on the inside. The only way to do that is have a pass through. And you can go buy a $100 tool, or you can buy a $5 socket and weld a piece on. Once again, it's kind of like the other really expensive tool. You can make it yourself and save yourself a fortune, which is what I do.
Is this going to be the same size for every bike, you think?
It depends on the bike. Most of them are 11/16. The older clutches on the shovel heads, if I remember right, are 9/16. Just depends on the model. But the cool part is they sell sockets like that at every single freaking hardware store there is in the country. So when you do have to go make one, you're not going to have a problem finding what you're looking for. Now, you can adjust the center nut through the lockup plate. So the lockup plate can actually be put on now because there is actually room to adjust it. You just can't pull this piece that's in here through the small hole on the inside of the weights of the lockup. So that's why this all has to be taken apart on this particular model. So all part of the fun and games. And then, like I said, in the book, I've got it wrote down. The torque on these is 90 to 110 inch-pounds. So done. Where did I put it? Right here. Remove that bar because now we want to get our transmission back down to neutral. If we're going to start the motor, we need this sucker in neutral. Does not want to go nicely. All right. Well, I went up 3 years, but I guess I didn't. Now it's down to fifth. I might need to actually roll the rear tire over. Okay. There goes that idea. I like to spin this by hand because I'm lazy. I'm just not going to be able to right now. So these little guys, I do know. Where's my set? Where'll be on my set? On the other side. All right. This one is, I believe it's this guy. It is. All right. So, one thing with this guy is it's handy when it's on and you're using it. I love it. It's a pain in the ass to set up and do all this because it's just not fun. These guys all need to be Loctited on, and they are always full of oil when you take it apart because this whole lockup is coated in oil. It drips all over everything. Probably never get these done right. There should be brake cleaning and lacquer thinnering and yada yada yada, but we're not doing that. So. And like I say, you never need a ton of brake clean, so you get up with too big of a drop like that. What you do is you take your next nut, because all you have to do is all you need brake or Loctite for. You just need some to take up the space in the threads. There's tons in there. So with that, there's actually big enough with one of those drops to do 2 or 3 bolts. So we'll do that, and that gets a couple of bolts done. Text message from mom while we're playing with motorcycles. Live on YouTube. Fun and games. Too greasy to answer, so mom will have to wait. No, she's not watching me live because she doesn't know I do this. Well, I should say that she does. She follows me on Instagram, but I don't think she actually realized I do that. As far as I know, none of my family's ever watched it. None of them's ever said anything, so I'm assuming they don't. Which, whatever. I'm not exactly appealing to my family. They are not my target market. So that, and like that. All those guys are Loctited. And all right.
Those magnets, those orange things?
Nope, they are weights.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and as this begins to pick up speed, and since there's weight on the end of a lever, essentially, it applies more and more force, centrifugal force, right? So as it gets faster and faster, the weights want to spread out further and further, and the levers on the inside push in harder and harder on the pressure plate and lock it up. So the spring pressure doesn't actually have enough spring pressure to lock the clutch to the motor. There's more power in the motor than there is, and resistance on the rear tire than there is spring pressure. So the clutch will actually slide the whole time if I don't have a lockup on it. So, and which will burn your clutch out in no time flat at all. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We could insert joke and say, ask me how I know how. I have several clutch packs kicking around here. That's how I know. I've done it. All part of the fun and games. I don't know where it is. All right. Use this extension.
Looking for the wrench?
It's right here. All right, so this one's going to be done 90 to 110. So if you want, crank that guy down. The gauge is right there. Tilt's 110, and this is at 0. And that gets us at our torque spec, and we can lock this sucker down. And then we can actually, I'll put the, let me do that after that. So we need to make sure all of these are free, because if they're jammed, you will have big issues. All right. This is the way you check. Actually, I had a slight shift on my spring here, and the levers were up against the spring, which means they would not have worked properly. So, things you need to pay attention to. And actually, a car clutch works literally the same way as the diaphragm spring. The only thing is, rather than it being a shaft through and pushing through on the outside, you'll have the transmission on one side, the motor on the other side, and this will actually be a fork that pulls and releases the bearing on the side. But this whole mechanism part is actually still the same. It all functions the same. They are literally. Even the clutch in my big truck is the same sort of theory as this. And that one actually has a performance clutch in it as well, and has a lockup plate on it. I got it from the truck drag racers in Quebec. So those guys have some really freaking neat toys. I had no idea you could get stuff like that for big trucks.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, those guys, they know all the tricks, like literally. So with this, because you're pushing down on a spring surface, you kind of want to do it evenly, so this whole thing is done in a crisscross pattern like we did on the exhaust. We're going to pull. So we're going to do half a turn, 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 half, half. Cuckoo clock is going off. Jumped a little bit. Half turn, half turn, half. Especially when you're on a spring, you never want to go down like just in a circular pattern. It will never tighten properly, and you will have a nightmare. You'll have issues. You'll never figure out why, and it's literally just the spring is not straight, and you can't see it. So, just little tips and tricks. She's like, you're working on stuff. Air compressor might cut in. Dad might start that thing. It's going to make all kinds of noise, which I don't know why she doesn't like that. She loves riding on the thing. She literally does.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she rides in this thing with me.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Just sits in your crotch, or?
In the tour pack, this one here in particular, that's why I have two of them.
Yeah.
This one has a hole in the lid so she can stick her head out. She actually has a pair of goggles, and she loves it. She's rode everywhere with me. A couple of years ago, we did an 18-day trip together. I thought there's no way she's going to handle it. She had no problem. In fact, she had no problem so much when we got home. She didn't want to get out.
Really?
Yeah. She was still good to go as far as she was concerned. She's like, oh, what do you mean we're home, Dad? Why are we unpacking? Life is good.
There's a guy around town that has like a cage for his dog. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah. It's kind of where I got I saw somebody else doing this years ago.
Mhm.
Kind of where I got the idea from. I've seen people ride with them on front, like on their fuel tank, it scratches the paint up, and then there's always a risk the dog could jump off.
Oh, okay.
That was why I like the tour pack idea. She can't get out, right? So, all right. So we're starting to reach bottom. There we go. All right. Torque wrench. We're at 110.
I hope so.
We are at 110. So same thing. We don't do it straight. There we go. So locked into gear. And there's a click. Opposite side. Star pattern. Just like that. Locked up. And now we have the high performance clutch and lock-up plate all installed. These are a little bit loose. There's not a lot of movement. There's enough that you know it's free. This one's, it's free, but it's not. This one's never moved nicely. I've always had this one that doesn't move nicely. I don't like that. But they have pressed in pins, so I can't take it apart and re-clearance it, which I've tried to do actually already. Can't do. So now with that, we're all done here. So we will put our tensioner screw in. It has our magic thing on it. So this is the thing, I don't know if anybody saw the video where I broke the primary chain last year in Banff and actually pulled this thing apart in Husky parking lot and fixed it. These little spacers here, because it's on the inside and hidden and it's hard to see, I didn't realize it came out of place and was actually jammed in between. And then after a certain amount of time riding, it came loose and actually went through the chain, broke my chain, broke the chain, kind of wrecked this. Thank God it didn't go through, because as you can see, there isn't enough room for that chunk of steel to go through here. It could have easily destroyed my primary. And that would have been really screwed. That would have been a very expensive fix. So, but I got lucky. There's just no two ways about it. So now, since then, I'm always extra freaking careful, because at least I didn't do that on somebody else's bike. I did that on my own. But not a good thing. So those guys, when they have a little collar, you can kind of see it actually drops inside. It's a locator, which is why I'm really surprised I lost the damn thing. Locator and all that sort of stuff, and still managed to screw that up, which is rather unusual. Okay, half inch. Once again, we'll do the extension trick in the knurl. Start it up. And that collar is on. And that collar is on. All right. Because the worst part is, you can't actually see in there to tell if those collars are in place. Up top. I can hear that one is. You can hear, and that one is. So a lot of times you got to screw up to learn a trick, and then you'll end up double checking all the time, like I just did. Well, I got lucky. I got one of these used from a wrecker because nobody hardly didn't have one in stock for $15. It's a $250 part. And I got the chain for $20 from the wrecker, and that's like a $200 part. So I got lucky in that it cost me 2 liters of oil and less than $50 in parts for something. And it could have easily taken out the inner primary, which, if I remember right, these from the dealership are like $1,800. Not something you want to wreck. Hence the be careful thing always. Okay. So clutch nut. So I'm washing onto it. Press the bottom spring. Now, to keep that in place, install the strap, install the assembly, position. Primary chain tensioner right here. 15 to 19 foot-pounds. I do not believe. Oh, it does. Okay, so I didn't think that this torque wrench actually went low enough to do that. It starts at 10, so we are good. We are up to there. This one. And
When did you put that zip tie on that?
when this was taken apart.
Yeah, so like when you're taking it apart, would it be this part of the?
Yeah, as you're before you would undo these bolts,
Yeah.
you would you'd shove the zip strap around the backside, and it will force itself out the bottom, and then you'll kind of work it underneath with the chain. You'll use a screwdriver, kind of get in there, pry it in, work on the chain, put the zip tie on,
Okay.
and then you can undo this and take it all out, and it won't fly apart on you, because these things will literally go flying across the room. There's a fair amount of tension on them. All right, and with that, we are torqued. So this guy, we need a knife. I have one here somewhere. Another one somewhere. Don't know where. Anyway, doesn't matter. Regardless. Yeah, I need that. So. Wow, that sucker didn't want to come out of there. All right. So with that, now that tensioner is in place.
Cool.
And
I was wondering if that's how it's normal to be loose like that.
they only did spring mounts a few years ago. So your bike will actually have an adjuster.
Oh.
I actually prefer the adjusters. I haven't had a problem with this one, but I know because chains always have a tight spot and a loose spot, and depending on how things are, some guys have had problems. Obviously, I've had good enough chains. I haven't had that problem. Some guys have had problems where they got a tight spot, loose spot, that it'll come around, and this will end up in the loose spot, and the chain will, or the tension will actually ratchet up into position, take up the slack, and then it comes around to the tight spot, but it will not ratchet back the other way. It only ratchets tighten. It does not ratchet loosen. So once it's in a position, it will not back off. That's the design of it. So now what happens is it's up too high, and the tight part comes around, and it will overload, and then it actually starts to take your bearings out that way. Like it'll take your crankshaft bearing out, or it'll take your input bearing out on the transmission like that. So neat idea, not exactly a wonderful solution. It has the very much potential for issues. Okay, so now we're going to talk about installing a used motor you don't know anything about, and you're kind of going on a bit of a wing and a prayer, which we are. So because I've never actually heard this motor run, I don't know how long it sat after the wreck when it came out. They didn't have those kind of records at the salvage yard about it. So I've never heard the motor run. I've turned it over. Nothing feels like mechanically it's damaged, hitting or colliding inside. Pistons, valves, there's very, very close tolerances. If anything's out of whack, something got hurt in the accident, and it's no good, you'd hopefully know right away. So far, I found nothing out. But I have no idea like when you rebuild an engine, you put all your bearings, you put everything together with assembly lube. So everything is coated in a greasy, tacky oil to lubricate it until the oil comes through the whole system and lubricates the whole motor. So you're fine. When you've got a used engine that's been sitting, turned, alternate, strange angles, crashed, went out sideways, blah, 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 oil has drained down out of all the galleys. So, and there's no assembly lube to protect things for those first few seconds of starting up until oil is actually in position to protect those things. So what do we do to mitigate that risk? So to do that, what we actually do is we take our fancy dancy socket and we got to find neutral in here. Because this is the direction the motor turns. So we are in neutral, everything is going. So what we're going to do, I got the spark plugs out of the motor, as you can see. So there's no resistance. So we're going to just turn the motor over. And I can feel that there is no mechanical resistance where anything is hitting like that, steel on steel. So we know this is all good. So you sit there and actually just crank slowly by hand. We will get, I have not installed the oil filter. Eventually we'll get to the point that oil will start to come out of the oil filter. And we know we've actually primed the oil pump and it's ready to actually circulate oil through the system. So because this is turning low and slow, at a speed it's not going to damage anything. This is the safe way to do it. We hit the starter, you spin this thing too fast, the motor starts to spin without oil. You can score pistons, you can run lifters dry, score all that kind of stuff, cause all kinds of problems you really don't want to have. So this is kind of a safe way because it's nice and slow. It's very controlled movement. And when you're doing this and you don't know what's going on the inside of the motor, something you guys didn't see me do that I did when I had it before I even turned the camera on, like a week before I started to install it, is I actually put air tool oil in down through the spark plug holes and also in through the exhaust ports and through the intake ports. So none of it was there. Reason you do air tool oil is there's no minerals, there's no additives, there's no nothing. It's straight up mineral oil. So that being in your fuel system, it's going to burn a little blue, but it's not really going to cause any problems. And it puts a little bit of lubrication on the inside of everything. And it's not an oil that's going to actually contaminate anything, hurt anything. It's just a very, very light oil, because if you have too thick of oil, when the piston comes up into a compression stroke and the oil is too thick or heavy, and it comes up to compress and you have too much oil in there, what will actually happen is it'll hydrolock. So it'll become like a hydraulic cylinder. You'll have a cavity that ends up filled with oil, and the piston comes up, pushes against that, and can't go anywhere. And if you do it too hard, you can actually damage a bearing, maybe crack a head, cause some kind of a problem. But with air tool oil, it's very, very thin, so it'll actually leak past the gaps in the rings and come down the cylinder walls, as long as you don't move the engine too fast like I'm doing. And then there's no risk of actually hydrolocking your engine, wrecking anything, yet you still have it all lubricated for your first few rotations like this, where you're not going to actually hurt anything. So there's a neat little trick for unknown quantity stuff you want to make sure is actually working properly. And as you can kind of hear on the other side, some air moving around left out of the oil tank. It's because the pump is actually siphoning oil. So we can actually dump the rest of that oil in on that side now.
Okay.
We're not getting some circulation through here. We shouldn't have a problem. Because the pan on these things, the tank will actually hold more than the jug, because it's actually used to having oil inside through the system. All right. I can actually start to hear oil coming, so I'm going to kind of try and turn that. Let's see. Can we see the oil filter? Neil, the light kind of there so you can sort of see that. Then we're going to go around. And hopefully shortly we'll see some oil coming out of there. Which then means the oil pump works on this motor, which is a very good sign. It should. This motor is very low mileage. Nothing appears to be mechanically damaged. The way it rotates around nice and smoothly. Without spark plugs in, there's no real resistance. Yeah, spark plugs in, this wouldn't spin very well, because you'd be fighting that compression all the time. And occasionally that'll there we go. We have oil flow. So I don't know if you guys can see that. We've actually got oil starting to come out of the filter area there. Very fresh, clean oil. So that means the oil pump actually works on this motor. So we're good there. We have oil flow. All that is a very good thing. That's a celebration. We take a drink. We actually need some of that oil. You always want to put oil on your gasket before you put your filter on. You want that filter gasket nicely lubricated. All right. Now, the good part is we have oil flow. The bad part is we got oil flow making a mess. But we have oil flow, which is the absolute most important thing. The rest we can live with and deal with. So we will. We will happily always take a little bit of an oil mess on a new to us / used motor to know we have oil flow from an oil pump. Because that means we're in good shape. So get this on here. Okay, started to turn. Why is it not going? All right. Oh, that sucker's kind of seated. All right. Now, with an oil filter, you should never crank them really, really tight. You get it down to the point that it's seated by base to your base to fingertip, and you go a quarter of a turn, which is actually already there. Because I thought it was still just loose. It actually was. So that's pretty good and tight. Now, we know we have oil flow. I'm going to spin it a little bit more because I want to actually fill the filter so that the filter is full. So when I actually hit the starter to turn this thing over, and it actually starts to spin at a higher speed, because the way it works, an oil pump, they always do the most critical area first, which is your crankshaft. That's where the most amount of pressure is. So the very first thing that gets fed is the crankshaft. And then from there, flows to the oil galleys. So this thing will go to the lifters on the other side, which oil flows through the push rods up at the top end, lubricates the top end. So right now, we have oil to here. We have nothing above. But we know we have oil flow, which means it's going to get there very shortly. Yeah, because we're sucking.
Burping.
It's burping. But we can throw the lid on. And I have no idea how many cranks I got to do to actually fill the oil pump. I'm just turning some so I know there's actually some oil in the oil filter. And we know we're good there. All that kind of stuff.
This is the oil thing, right?
Yes, it is. All right. So
That won't make it harder sealing that?
Hey?
That won't make it harder sealing the air?
No. Nope, not at all. All right. The other one I guess we should do, now this is a little slow. While we're doing this, so that one. Let's grab the second biggest ratchet in there. Or, I think it's the second biggest one. No, it's the biggest one. Great job.
What is this?
I should have grabbed the other one, but we'll do it. This is the transmission oil.
Okay.
Because I drained everything at the end of the year. Always do. So with that, now we're going to put this one in. I'll get you to do that. Now, the one thing, this is very thick. It's not going to want to pour in nice and smooth.
Okay.
So it's going to take you a minute or so to do that, just so you know. So while Devin's throwing some oil in the transmission,
Go all of it?
you bet, 100% of that goes in there. Like I say, don't get too crazy pouring because you will actually overfill the filter, or the funnel and will just run out.
Oh,
It's thick.
that's
oil.
like cough syrup.
Yes, it is. It's literally like cough syrup. So we've got engine oil run through the engine. Devin's putting transmission oil in the transmission. I'm going to do the cardinal sin that you're never supposed to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. The cover should be on and oils we put in here before we actually start it, but since this is a virgin spark test fire, before I put the cover on, just to double check, make sure I have no problems, I'm actually going to engage the starter with spark plugs out, spin the motor over. So this will be open while I do that. Actually, I know that there's nothing going on in here now. I was concerned about it. Because something wasn't right, I took it apart, but I could see everything's working fine. So I could put the cover on. That might not be a bad idea, actually. Put the cover on. I do need to adjust the clutch because in order to take all this apart, that's all been backed right off. So, but to start it, we don't need to do that. You guys don't need to pay attention to that. But probably who cares? For most of you, I'm adjusting the clutch cable. So just let me know when you got that in there, and then we'll spin it over with the starter.
Okay. Yeah, it's about halfway now.
Okay, cool. Smash the fingers again. So, put a finger over the spark plug hole, bank it, and compression stroke. You can hear some pressure building in there. Good sign. Motor builds pressure. What you want it to do. It has to have pressure to burn and blow and create power. If it doesn't, it's just NFG. All right, that's definitely repeated enough. Oil is through there. I know it is. I don't know this at the top end and all that sort of stuff, so I'm not going to get crazy on it. I'll still do the procedure the way I'm going to do it. So, we take our gasket. Make sure we clean our gasket surface. We don't want a wild stray dog hair in here or human hair or piece of crap or dirt to keep this thing from sealing. And like I said before when I took this apart, these gaskets are actually pretty good. You can actually reuse these. So I'm actually going to reuse this one. Part of the reason is I know I'm going to open this back up to do an inspection on it in a little while. So there's no sense putting a new gasket in to open it back up after probably a couple thousand kilometers of test riding to make sure everything is good.
Okay, use these rags?
Absolutely, yeah. Over here, strip towels.
Okay.
Yep. So, and then, like I said, I clearance this so you can see with the gasket surface, there's a little bit of an area where it doesn't actually press against material because it's been cleaned out of there. It's kind of supposed to be, but you can see that there's still definitely enough gasket surface if there's a seal. It's not a problem. I know lots of people who have done that clearancing for making life easy. Some people won't. They'll say, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Never going to be right, blah, blah, blah. Trust me when I tell you, my old bike sitting on the other side there, my 82, it has half that material for the gasket sealing and it seals. So they don't need the entire amount that they put in there from the factory. But that's entirely up to you what you choose to do. It is your bike. You treat yours the way you want to. I'll treat mine the way I want to. Don't tell me how to do mine. I won't tell you how to do yours.
This transmission fluid is already got on your hands.
Yeah, it's just oil.
Okay.
Just heavy oil. All right. Get it up into place. It's not going away. Double check. Gaskets in place. Here we go. That one. And we always put our starting bolt in so they can't fall down on us. Wrong size. I think the right size is on the other side or somewhere else.
Are you looking for this?
Up. Here we go. So we'll do that. All right. All right, all right, all right. We're getting very close to firing this bad boy up. So this particular one, because I have these guards on them, and I have these 2 bolts that need to be here, which is why I have those things I'd explained, the drop guards that sit on my guards, on my spike guards, so that if I am practicing that low speed stuff when I drop the bike, because yes, you're going to practice it, you're going to drop it, just accept the fact you are. That's what all this stuff is there for, so you don't wreck it when you drop it, because it's going to happen. And it doesn't wreck it, doesn't hurt it. I had the wrench out, what do I do with it? Is that it? Yep.
Does all this stuff need thread lock on it?
Yes, they should all be wiped first.
Okay. Dry wipe or should I put brake clean?
Yeah, great. Well, you could use brake clean, actually. That's totally fine, actually. Brake clean all those. And then the Loctite's over here.
Where's brake clean?
Brake clean is that red can right there.
Okay.
Right here. Just do it over here. Let's run low. I'm going to take these long ones and get those started.
Okay.
And then you can kind of get the rest while I do those. So if you happen to have one of these years of bikes, you want to do some stuff, just so you know, there will be different bolts in your outer primary cover. Drop the bolt. If you're playing the drinking game, that means we take a drink. Give me 1 second, hands are full. So the longer bolts go in these 4 positions, because they actually go right through the primary case and into the crankcase of the engine and actually clamp the whole thing. So these 4 longer bolts are going to go in these positions. So if you happen to have a bike that has longs and shorts, pay attention to where they go, and it will make your life a lot easier and better when you put things together right in the first place. And you're not sitting there going, I don't know what to do. I've worked on an awful lot of older stuff you can't even get manuals for, and there is nothing worse than going, I don't know what to do. And you spend hours trying to figure out a freaking problem.
You think I'll be able to find a manual for mine?
Oh, yes, definitely. A 92 will find a manual for that. Because the nice thing about the Sportster is they didn't change those things for years. So even if we don't find a manual for like the chassis stuff, the engine stuff is all the same for like decades on those Sportsters. And they're very reliable. They're a very good motor. So, in all reality, they're actually, people don't know that, the Sportster motor is the motor of choice for drag racers when it comes to Harleys. Especially when you're getting into full-blown custom builds, depending on the class you're in. Because they're better, they're actually mechanically and engineeringly a better engine design than the Big Twin. They just don't make them as big. But when you're getting into full-blown custom stuff, of course, that stuff is all, as the name suggests, completely custom built. You can make it whatever you want. So like all the nitro bikes, top fuel bikes, they're all what we call a hybrid motor. Where
Like your yellow one?
mine, that one is a Big Twin, because that class was actually, Big Twin was the best motor base to build.
Mm-hmm.
The next class up, Sportster, was the best motor class to build. So it just depended which class you were in. But
Okay.
the hybrids on the nitro bikes, they're Big Twin on the left-hand side, like the cylinders and the crankshaft, the crankcase, all that is all Big Twin. But on the camshaft side over, rather than using a single cam like the Big Twin has, they actually use the Sportster, which has 4 individual cams because the angles are better. And those motors are so big that when they do them off of a single cam, the push rod angles get so extreme that the push rods will actually start to sometimes flex enough they fall out of position. They actually don't fall out, they fly out of position. They literally launch themselves outside of the motor. And that is the reason why they actually prefer the Sportster for those applications, because it's dynamically and engineering wise a better design, a superior design for really, really massive, crazy monster big engine builds. On the older stuff, it was particularly with Evolutions. They've changed it a bit with twin cams, and with I don't know anybody that races a Milwaukee 8 in all the big motors, on all the big bikes, all the big nitro bikes. Every single one of them is a 4-cam hybrid design. It just is. So, and part of the reason why they call it a hybrid design is Sportster engine transmission case is all one casting. A Big Twin, the engine case and transmission case are separate pieces tied together by the primary. On the Sportster, the engine case, the primary, and the transmission case, this is all one piece. So it's just it's a different design. So
That's in Sportster, you're saying?
Sportster is all one, yeah.
So
It's structurally strong, all of that. It's very it's a good design. The other reason why the Big Twins were very popular when it comes to customizing bikes and choppers and all that sort of stuff is with the separated transmission, you could build the frame and mount anything any way you wanted and just put in a longer chain or a belt primary drive or something like that. So you could configure it however you wanted. Whereas a Sportster, your case was your case, dimensions couldn't be changed, you couldn't do anything, right? So you couldn't create radical designs and blah, 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 which is why everybody wanted to do Big Twins for that application. But in all reality, I love the design of a Sportster motor, or as I call them, the 4-cam motor. They're engineering wise, they are a fantastically designed engine. They just are. And anybody who doesn't agree with that, I don't really give a shit. Kiss my ass, because I know better. I spent quite a few years trying to make these things go as fast as possible and learn all that sort of stuff. And if I'd have known then what I know now, I absolutely would have gone to the other class, and I would have gone Sportster motor in the first place, because in the grand scheme of life, the amount of problems and issues I had with the Big Twin compared to what I wouldn't have had with a Sportster would have been a lot better. Would have been the way to go. All right, so here's our pattern. And these get tightened 108 to 120 inch-pounds. What were we at?
110.
Yeah, we were 110. 110 is probably good enough. We can rotate it around one more. 120, we're at 120. All right, pattern. What am I again here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so we start here. This one is 1. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Top for 9? Yes, it was. 9. 10. 11. 12. 12. Yes, I'm OCD, I count them all. 13, all right. So, with that, we are very, very much down to the point of moment of truth. When I hit the down button, press it down. Okay, cool. Let's monkey with the camera, so footage might get a little wonky here for a second. Bear with me. Okay. Not in neutral. Now we are. Okay, so we should see some spark out of our spark plugs if we got any kind of grounding. Okay, so everything's spinning nicely. Oil pressure light went out, which means this thing's actually on the starter, spinning fast enough to actually create oil pressure.
I'll make sure I put that cap on.
All of that on the transmission, yeah, throw that in there.
Where is the cap, do you know?
Probably sitting on underneath the bike somewhere. Let's do that quick. So I'm not sitting on the. Did I not set it down underneath you here?
No, I don't see it.
What the hell did I do with it? What did I do with it? Good question. Well,
Weird.
that is weird. What did we do with that? All right. I don't know. Oh, here it is.
Oh, where?
There you go. That one there. And then you can use that wrench. And shut that off. So, oil pressure light went out. We had good compression out of both cylinders. Actually, I could have put a compression tester on there and tested it. I didn't. I could have. I do have one.
Okay, you're good to go.
We're good to go. All right. So, spark plugs are down. Grab that.
Where's your garbage?
There's one sitting up here. I'll put a heavy bag over there. All right. And that spark plugs are tightened down. There's the wire. Good. Good. All right, everybody. Can you even see me here? Grab a drink because we are mono truth. It's either celebratory and happy or a very bad day. We're ready to go. I don't know if there's anything you can just see. Yeah. No, the foam.
I can't hear you.
A foam?
A phone.
A foam. Is there a piece of foam? No. Oh, okay.
All right. I have no idea. Settings. Let's do that. Check that. That. That.
I'm talking away and it's muted. Oh, thanks, Jake. All right. Well, let's redo that. Recap. So that's how you do in this whole series a engine R&R. Yes, we will be firing it back up. On a Harley, on an Ultra Classic, is just this procedure. It's really not that, as you can see, it's not that difficult. I'm not a licensed mechanic, but it's not hard to do. It can be done. Follow the book, follow the manual. And we don't make mistakes like I did. So like I was saying, when the engine was running, everything runs good. The motor sounds good as I'm going to fire it back up. So I'll actually let you hear it because I didn't realize there was no sound. Sorry, Jake. Thanks for pointing that out. I really appreciate that. I should probably hire a mechanic to do it for you now. Geez, blue face smiling. Ronnie kissed my ass. You come back to America, I'm not going to help you fix something. So I will be firing it again because, like Jake said, there was no sound. It does run good. There is no mechanical noise from the engine. It runs nice and clean and smooth. Everything appears to be good. There is an oil leak. Everything on the engine is all good. Where I removed the boss that holds the oil filter on, because on my other motor, I have an oil cooler system for this bike because it is a big, heavy bike and it does run warm. And I do pull a trailer with it when I go like long touring. So I have an oil cooler to help keep things cool. And that goes on in place. What you do is you take the boss out where the oil filter goes on. This plate goes on, the boss holds that on, and then the oil gets routed through the oil cooler before it comes through the filter and cools it down, all that. There was actually a gasket in there that did not transfer with it, and I didn't realize it because the material it's made out of. I didn't realize the gasket actually stayed on the old engine case. So that's what the oil leak is. That is the only oil leak. That's a minor one. I literally have to remove the filter, pull that back, put the gasket in, put it back in, put the filter back on. It's going to make a bit of a mess to do it, but it is not a critical thing. It is a 20-minute redo, not really a big pain in the ass. I'm not going to show you that. I'm not going to waste your time with that. Like I said, the only thing left to do on this now is literally put floorboard on this side so I could actually put my foot down somewhere and ride it, the heel shifter, and throw the lowers back on and put the seat on. This bike is ready to go, and we are going to have riding season. It runs good, runs clean, runs smooth, sounds good. It's clearly, by the sounds of it running, which I haven't opened it up, I kind of know by looking at some external factors that will give that stuff away anyways. It is a 100% stock motor. I will have to update the tune in my ECM because this is set up for a 96 cubic inch motor and this is a 103 cubic inch motor. So none of the air mass ratios are going to actually calculate over and work. So I've got to take this over to my guy, Doug, because I don't have the computer to do it. And we'll reflash the ECM, put the better program or the appropriate program for this motor in here so that all the air fuel ratios are right, doesn't run too hot, too lean, too rich, whatever, and cause a problem. But all is good. It runs good. It sounds good. And so since there was no sound, let's do it so you can hear it too. Because you sat through all this horse shit with me. You deserve to hear it as well. And with that, while we're getting ready, Devin, why don't you do us a favor, pour us another drink so we can have a celebratory drink with the boys when we hear that magic sound we're all looking to hear.
What else?
What do you got? Just a little bit of that. Good. So, I'll show you the dash. The low fuel light is on. My ABS is on as well because we actually replaced the ABS module because it wasn't working and the bike has not been up to speed. So until it's up to speed, that will not clear itself, that code. So with that, this is the ABS light. This is low fuel light, neutral oil pressure. Like I said, when I spinning it on the starter, it actually spun fast enough, hard enough to actually turn the oil pressure light off. So I knew it produced pressure. When it was running, it got up over 30 PSI. All very, very good numbers. Like that. We will get the fuel pump going. Hopefully this thing, I'm going to run to the other side and hold that in. Because when this thing vibrates, laptop sitting on the bike, it actually unplugs the mic and the camera, which is why I did that. So sorry about that. Apologies. She's good to go. Here we go. So there we go. We missed the audio the first time, but there we go. Yeah, I got a leak. Just got chilly ride. I bet it was a chilly ride home. So there we go. Sorry, it screwed up the audio on the first time. Go around. Let's do that. Let's do that. I don't have the fancy wireless remote cameras because I'm a completely unfunded, very low budget, unmonetized, completely family language unfriendly YouTube channel. But there we go. She runs. She's a celebratory drink. All good. Cheers, Devin. Thanks for your help.
Yeah,
Great to meet you. So we're not going to miss riding season. We're going to go. Now, next thing's next, because this thing runs, I'll do the last little bit of stuff I got to do. Get it off here. We'll bring Devin's on, and we'll do some work on his and get it running for the season. So you're not sure what's up with it, but we hit it over on the starter, and it spun today, so that's a good sign. Shouldn't be too much trouble to do. God damn. That's good after all that work. Yay. All right. So yeah, like I say, I've got a leak minor. I'm not concerned about that. It's one gasket. It's a simple fix. So I have 6 bolts. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I have 6 bolts for the lowers. I have 1, 2, 3 for the floorboard on this side. 1 more for the hill shifter, which is 4. So I have 10 bolts there and the seat. And this thing is literally done and ready to go. But of course, I'm not going to put the floorboard on until I pull that oil filter and that stuff, because that stuff's kind of in the way when I do that anyway. So it's just make life quicker and easier to do that, fix that. And then I will have to pressure wash the shit out of it because had oil leak right down into the oil cooler, across all the stuff. In a great place where you can't just wipe it away. It's a gross mess, but it doesn't matter. It's done. It runs. Thanks, buddy. Yep, that is exactly right. It's a Harley, or sounds like a Harley, and it leaks. Yeah. I to be completely honest, this is the first Harley I ever owned that didn't leak. And other than that, that is literally the only leak this thing has ever actually had. So, but yeah, every other Harley I've ever owned leaked. Even the drag bike, which had engine oil and transmission oil. And that was it. There were no other fluids in that entire, well, brake fluid. There were no other fluids in that thing. And it still leaked. And everything was a complete capture total loss system, and it still leaked. It's just the nature of things. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're over 2 hours. Jesus, we're 2.5. But we're 2.5 hours in, and she started. I said it would fire tonight, and I didn't let you down, and I didn't lie. And thank God I didn't blow up the motor. It's a win. So with that, she's a wrap. I'm going to turn the camera off, do that last little bit of stuff I got to do, clean up some freaking tools, and call it a night. I'm not going to do an after show tonight. I don't think anyways. Oh, maybe I'll throw it on. We'll see. Probably not, because I got to move the laptop out of the way to put the seat on and do that stuff. The seat can actually go on. There's nothing there. It needs to be done up. Yeah, because everything is here. Lowers can be put on. They're not in the way to do that. Yeah. So this is actually a relatively easy fix. That last little bit of leak, not a minor stuff. Oh, the only other job I got, believe it or not, how dumb is that? So I picked up a set of fancy heated grips, thinking, oh, that should be no big deal. Some heated grips, a little bit of wire, change the grips out. Then my hands will stay nice and warm when it's freaking cold out, right? Turns out this is a fucking 5-hour install job. I think it only took me 6 or 7 hours to actually change the motor. How bad is that? I can change the motor, and down here at the same time, it's going to take me to install heated grips. I got a feeling I'm not going to have heated grips for this year's riding season. This might be a next winter project, because a 5-6 hour job involving wiring, I guarantee you, is going to involve alcohol, which means it's going to go slower. Mistakes are going to get made, and it's going to take even longer. So this 5.5 hour job is probably 9 hours with frustration, hammers being through the wall, and drinks. That will be a drinking game for sure. I don't like wiring. That's the one thing I do not care about. Everything else I really don't care. It's fun. I will some way make a form show, enjoy it. So But with that, she's clean and green. She runs. Motor sounds nice and good. I got to adjust the clutch, put primary oil in. I got to fix that oil leak. Other than that, it's done. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. So, yeehaw. With that, we're going to call her a night. Thank you for the guys who actually joined me tonight. I really appreciate that. Just stick around and laugh through my horse shit and laugh at me and the mistakes we made and figured out where a trim piece goes that, to be completely honest, still doesn't look like it fucking belongs there. But that's the only place it can fit. And now that it's there, it looks like it does belong there, but Devin agrees with me. It doesn't make sense. Whatever. It's there. We're good. Yeah, nothing else. With that, we're done. We're calling it a night. So with that, as always, like, subscribe, all that yada, 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 YouTube shit. Nobody cares. You guys are already done that. So talk to you later. Have a good night. I did.